the company. And some of you guys, like let's say Mateo, you are here because you like us, you like the environment, you like what we do, right? Whatever the reason is, but do you really understand? So I'm going to start with that. Primerica is not a typical pure sales organization. In a pure sales organization, you guys are hired to sell your asses off so Shaq and I can make all the money, and you guys do well enough to stay around, but that's all you are ever going to be. You are always going to be, sit up here, Sheila. You are always going to be a salesperson. So in a sales organization, a typical sales organization, it's all about making money now. And that's all that happens. You try to make money now, you try to make money later. Every day you wake up, you're trying to make another sale. Primerica is a little bit different. Is it better if you make money now? Yes. But if you don't, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because we are a make a lot of money later type of company. You have to invest time doing the right things in Primerica, and then the money will come. Most people are not going to come in our business and make money their first week, even their first month sometimes, even their first 2 months. I didn't make any money in Primerica for months, especially if you focus on building a team, which is the next philosophy, right? Primerica is a building organization. It's for builders. That's a very different mindset from people who are coming from a sales organization or they're used to just doing sales. Because building takes time, hiring, development, investment in people, and there's a delayed effect sometimes, a lot of times, most times. Because I recruit Josh and he is 18 years old and he's still in high school, and then he went to college, and I'm working with him all throughout, and it takes time for those investments to pay off. And maybe my friend who is in pure insurance sales or pure investment sales, maybe those first couple of years, they made more money than me, right? But our philosophy is we want you to build a team. I was talking to my friend that I introduced you to, and I was like, how does your company work? And he goes, oh, we just hire a bunch of people and they go knock on doors and try to sell people on why they need a new roof. And the more people we have doing that, the more money we make. And that's great for the person that's getting commission for selling the roof. But who do you want to be? The person selling the roof or the person who has 20 kids out there knocking on doors? They're doing the work. They're getting the leads. They're prospecting. And they get a little bit of money for doing the work. But my friend gets a lot of money for doing nothing and just hiring these guys. And they're all commission. So in every organization, there's people at the bottom and there's people at the top. At Primerica, you have a choice. You don't have that choice at every company. People say, oh, is Primerica pyramid, this and that? It's like, dude, whatever it is, I have the chance to be the guy at the top. Do you have that opportunity? In this pyramid, I could be the one at the top. So versus relegating people to salespeople that just grind for our benefit, and your work gives us freedom, you have the opportunity to be us. You have the opportunity not just to be the agent, but to be the broker. But if you want to be a broker, you got to do broker type activity, right? Broker type activity. Always be selling, always be closing, but also always be recruiting. You got to look at your schedule, right? If you want to own your own business, if you want to be a broker, if you want to have passive income, which is the third philosophy that we believe in passive income, we're big on how you make the money. Well, then you got to look at your schedule, right? How much time is spent bringing people to Wednesday opportunity meeting? How much time is spent inviting people to the Saturday morning opportunity meeting? How many times do you have people watching the webinar? How many times do you have people watching the animated video? And here's the thing about it. I get it if someone doesn't know how to sell insurance right away, and definitely if they don't know how to sell investments right away. I get all of that. Recruiting is, I mean, Mateo, how fast did you get your first recruit?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. And how much did you know? Not much, because you still don't know much now. And how many you got in the meeting? How many did you have in class with you this weekend? In class with you, studying. So when you're licensed, they're going to be licensed. That's Primerica. You got to understand our business. You got to play by the rules set here, right? We're building something for the future. It takes time to build a home, but you got to have the blueprint first. Then it's one brick at a time. Here it's one person at a time, but you got to have that end in mind. How many agents do you want? I mean, you look around this room, this is Primerica. On a Monday morning, people showing up, a lot of people part-time. Most of you guys licensed. And everybody in here that sells, we make money. And some of you guys make money off each other. So everything that we do is designed for you guys to copy. Primerica is a big company where they're a corporation and there's a bunch of RVPs and there's a bunch of agents. We are a company within that company. You are a company within our company. Right? We're having this meeting right now. Maybe at some point when you got 10 people on your team, you have a little meeting and you talk about things like this. And you talk about a business owner mindset. A business owner mindset is what? I'm going to build something. I'm going to wait to get money. It's eventually going to come. And eventually I want passive income. That's what we're building towards. Another thing that we believe in is we believe in helping the masses. We believe in helping the middle class. We believe in not having requirements. We believe in not just chasing big and rich clients, which is pretty much how the rest of the industry does it. So you got to know what you're a part of. And I'd like to remind people, because they come into the meeting and they think this is Samir and Shaq's meeting. No, this is your meeting. This is your meeting. When I came into the business, my two best friends were in the business. We all went to Herndon Elementary, Herndon Middle, Herndon High together. Known each other all our lives. It took them a year to recruit me. They brought me into the meeting. The meeting was a guy that was 65 years old. Nothing against that, right? He put his glasses on his forehead, and the meeting was him going like this, reading announcements. And me and my other 22-year-old, 23-year-old friends were just sitting there like, okay, but we always showed up. We always did what we were told. And then we realized one day, right now he's doing training because it's his meeting. He had 15, 16 people in there, and we had 3 or 4. And I was like, we got to change the dynamic here so it becomes our meeting. So then we have 10 people, he has 15. Right? Like Mateo, you got 3 people in the meeting today? Then we had 15 people, and he had 15. So it's like, hey, why don't you guys, right? He wasn't the RVP. The RVP was like, hey, why don't you guys, why don't you do some of the training today? You have just as many people. Then it was 20 people to 15. Then it was 30 people to 20. Now, why was their team growing? Because they were coming to see us. They wanted to see the show. Everybody was impressed with the growth, right? Then it was 25, 30 people and 20, 40 people, 50 people. Then we couldn't fit in the little conference room. We had to do everything in the cafeteria. Then they never trained, right? Then eventually we had to get our own office. That's what Primerica is about. It's about dominating. Look, we're all friendly in here, but we are competitive. You got to get tired of hearing other people's name called and your name not called. So, when I look, and I know I say his name a lot because I'm watching him, but it's like, you come to the meeting. Next time you have another person at the meeting. Next time you have another person at the meeting. You're showing up to all the meetings. Then you got 3 people in class. I mean, this dude, by the time he gets licensed, he'll have a little agency of 3 people. All in what, a month? That's Primerica. I'm not saying it's every other business, right? Where people get in trouble is they're always trying to compare it to their job or some other company or something they read online or how it's supposed to be. We don't do things the way it's supposed to be in this company. Starting with, we have ethical product, which nobody else has. That's another thing. I mean, yeah, we make a little less for the products that we sell. But you know what? So does Walmart. So does Amazon. How do they make up? In volume. How do you get volume? Having a lot of people under you. That's how the system works. A lot of people don't know this about Amazon. That delivery service, that grocery service, still today is not profitable. They don't make any money. AWS, the software, all of that's how they're making the money. Right? But we all use it. Luckily, we do make money. But that whole thing of like, oh my God, my friend sold a house and made 21 grand. I know, but it's the one house you're gonna sell in 6 months. Right? We gotta get away from, yeah, we have that in Primerica. Sheila, you know, she closed a big sale, she might make 15,000, I might make 20,000, right? Happens once in a while, but that's not our business. Our business is how many times can you make $500-800 on a client? And then how many times can you get your team to do it where you get a $200-300 override? And I promise you it adds up to a lot of money. You know, in other businesses, they search for whales. That's a term. What's that? Big client, right? You see on TV selling Sunset, selling Beverly Hills, selling whatever, right? And we're like, wow, someone just bought a $20 million condo. That's cool, man. It's not our business. We're in a volume-based business. Volume, volume, volume. I always say this in my orientation, that companies have what they call a hiring freeze, which a lot of companies have right now. They're laying off people and then they have a hiring freeze. We'll never have a hiring freeze. Look, the room is full. We're still telling you to bring people. We're still telling you to invite people. We're still telling you to recruit people. Because in our business, more is better. More, 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 more. I want to be so big that if everyone does almost nothing, I'm still rich. That's the mindset that you got to have. The mistake people make is they say, I want to recruit quality people. Quality only comes from quantity. If I knew a way to find quality up front, I'd be a lot richer in Primerica than I am right now. But I figured out, hey, you can just hire the 18-year-old that's still in high school, and he's going to lead me to Marin, who's a very qualified individual that has a lot of the qualities that he didn't come in with. Because anyone can lead you to anybody else. Sometimes that wrong person does know the right person. Sometimes that follower can bring you to a leader. Sometimes that non-producer can take you to a producer. Right? That's the mindset. A lot of people on your team doing a little, and then you'll have a few doing a lot. That's the formula. There's no way to have 7 people on your team and everybody's a killer. If you have 7 killers on your team, you got 100 that ain't doing nothing. That's how the business works. Isn't that how these shows work? The Voice, American Idol? Do they bring everybody up that has $1 million record deal? No. They have thousands of people. We used to do a talk on this all the time, right? Thousands of people that audition in every single state, in every single city, and it leads to one person that gets that contract. Everybody's running the numbers. I was telling Maddie the other day, I used to know this girl that worked at John Hancock, high-end financial company. And I said, how many people were in your training group? These are salaried people, not even 100% commission. She said our class started with 16. It was all guys and me. She was the only female. And after 6 months, one person was left. It was her. All the guys quit. Which is pretty indicative of what we see here too, right? Women are just, you see the evidence. You see our producers. So people say, man, Primerica would be easier if we were paying people. Again, you have a job mindset, a corporate mindset, but I'm telling you, even in the corporate companies, where they pay people, the drop off is 90%. They had to put 16 people through training to find that one. Right? So if you can bring this up real quick, let's talk about, or you have it, Chandel. Let's talk about personal story. Let me tell you something from my 19 years of doing this business and constantly working on becoming a great communicator. I know what turns people on. It's not the numbers, it's not the money. I'm talking about turning people on. Like you have an energy and you can feel their energy. It comes from, in our business, the most common presentation we have interviews and we have what we used to call kitchen table appointments, now qualified appointments, whatever you want to call it. It's your personal story. That's where you hook them. You got to have a great personal story. If you are going into a presentation just talking about products and just talking about Primerica and not talking about yourself, you are missing the point. And you're missing out on sales and relationships that you could have gotten if you got better at this. So we're going to talk today about what is the recipe for a good personal story. You may not know everything about the presentation. You may not know everything about how the business works, but I'm telling you how the human psyche works, how communication works. People love a good story. That's why sometimes you meet people like, what's your story? Like, tell me. It's a great way to set the tone at the beginning of any presentation. So I can start out talking about me and how I came into business and why I'm here and why I'm so excited and what I'm trying to accomplish. Or I can say, hey, thanks for meeting with us today. Primerica is a company with 130,000 agents. And they're like, right? It's just, even when people are here for an interview or whatever, they're just, you want to start out with something. When you do your op, right? How long is your personal story before you even get into the actual material?
At least 30 minutes. And
That's-
every time somebody leaves, they say, that was a good story.
That's what a movie is, right? It's a story. Huh?
They comment on the story.
They comment on the story.
Never
That's what
done.
resonates with them. Hey, you're like me. I thought like that. That's what I was thinking. That's what you want. Nobody is here for financial services. We have there's a saying out there that people want to be a part of something bigger than themselves. My mom worked all her life at a bank where clients came in, she serviced them. She had never done any real kind of marketing or cold calling or anything like that, right? It was just inbound helping clients. And one day, she came back and she had a bunch of folders in her hand. And I was like, where were you? And she goes, oh, we're canvassing the neighborhoods for this political candidate. But Maren, she would never do that for herself or for her own business, but she did it for that reason. And she's not the only one, right? People want to be a part of something. They want to be around people that are progressing. Because most people are not. Most people are stuck. Right? So in my opinion, it's the great way to set the tone at the beginning of the presentation. Shaq used the term, it kind of lets their hair down. They get more comfortable. Right? And I think that, anytime, because Primerica is also a different business where we're not just talking to prospects who asked for the information. Sometimes we're kind of just getting in front of you and doing what we do, and you don't really expect it. So someone says, hey, Xander, there's this company, they're looking for people, may not be for you, just come check it out. And so or someone sets an appointment with someone and says, hey, I need a favor, it's just for my training. The person has no idea what it's about, but they turn into a life insurance sale. He turns into a new agent with us. So the way that I've always visualized a business is when I meet people, you've heard that term, they have a wall up. And little by little, I got to bring that wall down. The personal story does that. Because if that wall is up, you're giving them information, they're not receiving it because the wall is up. It helps you posture yourself, especially in an interview or when you are, maybe you want to do your own personal story before you show them the webinar or the animated video, however it is you're recruiting. Maybe you're doing a presentation. Sometimes I still do those, right? It puts you in the chair of almost like an employer type thing. In a personal story, always talk about what you were doing or what you were going to do. So you guys know my story, right? Hopefully by now. I was going to be a pharmacist. What relevance does that have? I wasn't a pharmacist. I didn't graduate pharmacy. I never worked as a pharmacist, but I say it because for whatever reason, it has a little bit of weight. It shouldn't, but it does. And what it does is when you have a personal story and you tell people what you are going to do, right? What you are doing or trying to get out of, or what you were going. So it kind of tells them, this is just my attitude. It's like, I could do what you do too. I could have done something else. I chose to do this. It's very subtle. She's like, yeah. Sheila's like, I was a nurse, 30 years, making 100 grand. It's like, let me pay attention here because she left a job that's paying me more than I'm making right now. That's what they're thinking in their mind. That's what I'm trying to provoke them to feel like. So Mateo, before we met you, what was your major? What were you going to do?
So my major currently business administration, and I had an idea to join AWS. I'm certified as a cloud practitioner.
Awesome. So, hey, man, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Mateo. I just started with this company a few weeks ago. I'm so jacked up and excited. In just 2 weeks, my whole mindset has changed. This company has taught me a whole new way to look at the world. I was like everybody else, man. I want to get into tech. I wanted to get all the buzzwords, cloud software, enterprise software. I actually got my AWS certification. I was only 19 years old. I was going to get a business degree. The projected income for that is 150 grand. But the reason why, that's how you start a story. Completely improvised, like Eminem. You throw something at me, I'm like, right?
Swim safe.
Because it's more compelling rather than, like, Shaq is a genius at how he does his story, but most people aren't going to get away with that. Like, I got bad grades, I was a terrible student, I made no money, I had nothing to do, I stumbled into this. Not everyone can pull that off. And the only reason why he can do that is because he was actually ridiculously smart, got amazing grades, could have went to any college. It's a play on the opposite of how he was. But we're in Northern Virginia. That like, aw shucks, I had no options. This company gave me a chance. I think your story can be a little more compelling than that. Don't be afraid to mention fear or skepticism. If you come across or you want to come across as super confident, always wanted everything, you came in day one and you just took off and you knew this was it from day one and there was never any most people are scared and nervous and you have to cater to them. Like, man, I didn't know what to do. My mom told me to be a pharmacist. I did 3 years of pre-med. And, the reason why that was even comfortable for me to get into was because I was kind of an introvert. I'd never sold anything. I'd never done anything business related. And I put 3 years of my life in that. They got accepted into pharmacy school. And now my 3 best friends want me to join something that's completely different. Imagine going home in the part of the world that my parents are from and going and say, hey, mom and dad, I'm starting something brand new that I have no experience in with a weird company. And by the way, the person who talked me into it is the friend that you guys hate. Because anytime I got in trouble, it was with this guy. And that's part of the story.
Yeah.
And I was nervous, man. I had invested 3 years. What is that saying to them? It's okay that you made a decision to get that degree. And I know you just spent 4 years in college, and I know you were waiting for that dream job, but I did it too. I left it behind. The story is walking them through their mindset, their mentality. Right? The last thing you want is at the end for them to be like, I'm different. No, you're just like me, man. I was sold a corporate dream. I realized it was a nightmare. I started something new. I had no experience. Any accolades, mention them. People love to hear. You know, on these guys' Zooms, if you look at Shondell, her background is what? All her trophies. People don't get recognized in their life. Outside of Primerica, when was the last time you got recognized?
In the military, bro.
Military. How many years ago was that?
Wow.
A while. And I know, hey, I don't need the recognition. I don't like the recognition. Don't call my name. This is human psyche, right? Regardless of initially how it makes you feel, everybody loves it. Everybody loves it. Not everyone likes coming up and giving a speech. I completely understand that. Me neither. Right? Like you don't have to let me go up and talk, but at least everyone knows, hey, Samir's in the front because him and his team, they did something special. So I've gotten the top attendance award. I was I was one of our top producers for the week this many times. And if you don't have any accolades, then you have to build towards that. You know, Mateo, when you and your boys pass, it's like I already have 3 licensed agents, including myself. You know, a State Farm only has 3 licensed agents. It's not a small thing. And when you end the personal story, especially for you guys, you want to end with what your goal is. Little bit, you know, life. I told one of Maddie's recruits, and I stole it from Hector Lamarck, I was like, I just want to live my life like I'm on vacation. Because when I first heard that, oh my God, it was just mind blowing. And then he like described his life, and I could not believe what I was hearing. I mean, I couldn't even fill up my gas tank that this guy is describing his life. Literally on vacation every single day. You know? So there's some of that, but there's also, you know, right now my goal is to have 10 people that I've directly trained to make $250,000. That's what I'm looking for. I hope you're one of those people. For you guys, it's I want to be a vice president. I need this many agents. I need this many, right? And I'm hoping you can be. So what it does is it lets them know where they fit in. What is the reason for all of this? Why are you trying to recruit? Because you have a goal, you have a vision, and this is how they can fit in. And a lot of people will want to be a part of that. If the personal story is good enough, you can recruit just off of that. There was a time in Primerica, I was the best recruiter in all of Primerica, right? Check. Now, I wasn't #1 recruiting for the month. I was #1 recruiting year to date. And I had multiple guys on my team that were #1 recruiters year to date. Now, I wasn't that great at a lot of other things, but that was one thing I was really good at. And so sometimes I would just mess around. I was like, man, do I even need this presentation? I'd make the personal story a little bit longer, and I'd put the application up front and be like, join the team, $200, and they would sign up. And that's when I realized, wow, this is what it's about. I can recruit you just off my story. And of course, they'd call back 10 minutes later, like, whoa, what just happened? Right? But it showed I was a closer, and I told a really good story. These are pluses. This is how Sheila can get clients, because what does she say? I've been a client since Samir was 23 years old. I've been a client for, 16, 17 years. And then she goes next level and she shows her investment accounts, which are 7 figures. So there's no presentation after. With me, what did I do? Yeah, I had a little policy. I had not really any investments, maybe $50 a month going in there because I wasn't making any money. But eventually I was able to say, my parents are clients. And for years, oh my God, the money I've made, man, from saying my parents were clients. Just to let you know, this is what I put my mom and dad. And then once in a while, I'd black out the account number and the name, and I'd show them the account. And my dad had a very large account. So, do you need life insurance? Many of you, no. But could you use it as a tool that will get you a lot more sales than what the premium is costing you? Probably. Because very few people do that. The guy working at the Mercedes dealership is driving a Toyota. All right? The person selling IUL, they probably own term. Unless they're really dumb, like that guy. And even that guy that she talked about on Saturday that was selling people $2,000 a month policies, and he's like, look, I have it too. What were the losses on his policy? 12 grand? Well, he made that off one client. So he's like, I'll take losses on one just to say that I have it. And showing your own example. I remember I was going to Mason, I was in Primerica, I was #1 in Primerica, and we'd have these study groups, and everyone would be like, what are you doing on your laptop? Hey, look at this. We have a Hawaii contest right now, I'm #1. I think those people have ever seen anything like that? Maybe if they played sports or, but nobody's getting recognized. No one's part of a #1 team. Those kids didn't even know what they were in for, man. They were going to be living in a cubicle for the rest of their lives. My life is a sport every single day. Competing, trying to get better, trying to make money. And I wasn't making a lot of money, but I was winning at the system, which was eventually going to pay me a lot of money, passively. My brother, he's here from Denver. He's been staying with us for, maybe like a month now. And he's always alluding to, I know you make a lot of money. I don't tell my family. My mom doesn't know, no one knows. I don't talk about it. And he's always alluding to it. It's like, man, I don't really know him. We don't have a great relationship. Now we're starting to, right? But he's my stepbrother. And I'm like, where did you get it? And he goes, the other day he said, hey, by the way, I'm in your old room and you have a poster of your goals on the ceiling. Because when I used to sleep, my goals would be on the ceiling. And he goes, yeah, on that, it said I will make $25,000 a month. And that was what, 10, 12 years ago. So he's assuming like, you probably did that and more. We know last month I'm at 54. It works.
Yeah.
It works. Right? So whatever example you have, we have state leaderboards. We have our Instagram where you came up as a producer and we took your picture. We have, you passed your exam and you got to take a picture with people. Understand how things work. Understand all these little resources and how you package it together, how attractive you can become. But most people come in like, I'm not making money yet. Dude, I was recruiting the world before I made it. More even than I'm right now. Nothing is helping me more. The car I drive, the watch I wear, nothing is helping me to recruit more people. You just got to go through the numbers. It's not any easier for me than anybody else. People will quit on me in a heartbeat, just like they'll quit on you. Do those things make me feel better? Do I have an appreciation for all that stuff? Yeah, sure. That's why I do it. I don't do it for other people. I appreciate nice things. But that's another mistake, right? Oh, when I do this, then I'll do that. No, do it all now. Trust me. Ready, Shaq? All right, give it up for Shaq.